Let me ask you something uncomfortable. If I told you that the average American in their 30s is quietly destroying their financial future, not because they're lazy, not because they don't make enough money, but because of 7 specific mistakes that almost nobody talks about. Would you want to know what they are? Because here's what nobody told me when I was 31. Your 30s are not a second chance at your 20s. They're the decade that determines everything. The retirement you get at 65, it's being decided right now. The financial stress you feel at 50, you're planting those seeds today. The wealth gap between you and the people you went to school with, it widens every single year you stay on the wrong path. And most painful part, most of the mistakes I'm about to show you are invisible. They feel completely normal. In fact, most of them feel responsible. That's what makes them so dangerous. So stay with me, because by the end of this video, you're going to see your financial life completely differently. And some of what I'm about to say might genuinely make you uncomfortable. That's okay. Uncomfortable truths are worth more than comfortable lies. Let's get into it. Before we get into the mistakes, I want to give you one statistic that should stop you cold. According to a 2026 Vanguard survey, nearly 3 out of 4 Americans failed to meet their savings and spending goals last year. Not people in poverty, not people without jobs, regular, working Americans, people with careers, families, and ambitions. 3 out of 4. And the Federal Reserve's latest report confirmed that financial stress remains one of the top concerns for American households, with inflation and prices still squeezing people who, on paper, look like they're doing fine at SO if you're in your 30s and you feel like you're running on a treadmill, earning more but somehow saving less. You are not alone. But you're also not stuck. Here are the 7 biggest money mistakes Americans make in their 30s, and exactly how to stop making them. Mistake number 1 is probably the sneakiest one on this entire list. And it has a name: lifestyle inflation. Here's how it works. You're 22, broke, eating ramen. You tell yourself, one day when I make real money, I'll get my life together. Then your 30s hit. You get the promotion, the raise, maybe a better job. And instead of building wealth, you upgrade everything. The apartment gets nicer. The car gets newer. The dinners get more expensive. The vacations get longer. Your income went up $20,000 a year. But somehow, you're saving the same amount you were before, or less. This is lifestyle inflation. And it is the silent killer of financial progress in your 30s. The reason it's so dangerous? It doesn't feel like a mistake. It feels like success. It feels like you're finally living the life you work for. But here's what the math actually says. If you took just half of every raise you got in your 30s and invested it instead of spending it, the compound growth over 20 years would be staggering. The fix: every time your income goes up, automatically increase your savings rate first, before you upgrade your lifestyle. Most people do it backwards. Spend first, save what's left. Do it the other way around. Automate savings to go up with every raise. Lifestyle upgrades come second. You can still enjoy your money. You just have to let future you enjoy it too. Mistake number 2 is one that experts are sounding alarms about right now in 2026. More than 40% of Americans say they couldn't cover a $1,000 emergency expense with their savings. And roughly 1 in 3 say they don't have enough saved to cover even 1 month of living costs. 1 month. Think about that for a second. 1 layoff, 1 medical bill, 1 car breakdown, and a third of Americans are in financial crisis. In your 30s, this mistake becomes exponentially more costly because now the stakes are higher. You might have a mortgage, a family, dependents counting on you. A financial shock doesn't just hurt you. It can unravel years of progress overnight. And here's what nobody says out loud. When you don't have an emergency fund, every single financial decision gets distorted. You make choices out of fear, not strategy. You pull money from investments at the worst time. You rack up high interest debt just to survive a bad week. The fix: 3 to 6 months of living expenses in a high yield savings account. That's the target. If you're starting from zero, start with a goal of $1,000 first, then $3,000. Build the floor before you build the ceiling. Your investments can't grow if life keeps burning them down. This is the one that haunts people the most when they finally understand it. Let me show you two people. Sarah starts investing $300 a month at age 30. She does it for 35 years until she's 65. Average 8% annual return. She ends up with approximately $652,000. Mike waits until he's 40 to start. Same $300 a month. Same 8% return. Same retirement age. He ends up with approximately $272,000. Same money. Same effort. But Mike waited 10 years. That 1 decade cost him nearly $380,000. This is compound interest, and it is either your greatest ally or your most expensive enemy. The choice is purely based on when you start. The excuse I hear most from people in their 30s: things are too uncertain right now. I'll start when things calm down. Here's the truth: things never calm down. There will always be a reason to wait. There was a reason in 2008, a reason in 2020, a reason today. The stock market rewards patience and punishes delay. Every single year you wait is not just a year of gains lost. It's a year of compounding lost. The fix: start now. Even small amounts. $50 a month matters. Your 401k, your Roth IRA, an index fund, just start. Perfect is the enemy of good here, and waiting for the perfect moment is the most expensive financial decision you will ever make. Here's one that's going to make some people mad, and that's okay. In your 30s, there's enormous social pressure to buy a home, and home ownership can absolutely build wealth. But how much home you buy can also be the single biggest wealth destroyer in your life. The old rule said spend no more than 28% of your gross income on housing. Today, the average American is spending significantly more than that, especially in major metro areas. The problem is that when housing costs eat too much of your income, everything else suffers. You can't invest. You can't build an emergency fund. You can't handle a financial shock without going into debt. And the thing people say to justify it, but real estate always goes up, is not a guarantee. It's a hope. A house you live in is not an investment in the traditional sense. It doesn't produce cash flow. It costs you property taxes, maintenance, insurance, and interest. A true investment pays you. Your primary residence costs you that there's nothing wrong with owning a home. But buying more house than you can afford, just to match what your colleagues or neighbors have, is lifestyle inflation wearing a suit and calling itself a strategy. The fix: run the real numbers before you buy. Housing, taxes, insurance, maintenance. The rule of thumb is 1% of home value per year in maintenance costs alone. Make sure the full picture fits your actual income, not your optimistic future income. And if renting makes more financial sense in your market right now, it might be the smarter wealth building move. Let me give you the simplest math in personal finance. If you have high interest credit card debt, and I'm talking 20, 24, even 29% APR, which is common today, there is no investment on earth that reliably beats that return. The stock market averages around 8 to 10% annually over the long run. Your credit card charges you 24%. Every dollar you have sitting in savings earning 4% while you carry 24% credit card debt is costing you 20 cents on the dollar every year. And yet, the average American in their 30s is carrying credit card debt while simultaneously trying to invest. That is like trying to fill a bathtub with the drain open. The reason people normalize it? Because it's everywhere. Because the minimum payment feels manageable. Because by now, pay later made it feel like the stuff was free when they bought it. But compounding debt is the mirror image of compounding wealth. It works just as powerfully, but in the wrong direction. The fix, before you invest aggressively, wipe out high-interest consumer debt. Use the avalanche method. Attack the highest interest rate first. Or the snowball. Smallest balance first if you need psychological wins. Either works. The worst method is doing nothing. Pay it off. Then take that monthly payment you were making and redirect it straight into investments. The momentum shift is incredible. This one is the one that genuinely shocks me every time I talk about it. Are you contributing enough to your 401k to get your employer's full match? Because if you're not, you are literally turning down free money. Money your employer will hand you right now, today, and you are saying no. The average employer match is around 3 to 6% of your salary. That's a guaranteed 50 to 100% instant return on those dollars. There is no investment in the world that gives you an instant 100% return. And yet, millions of Americans in their 30s either aren't enrolled or aren't contributing enough to get the full match. Why? Sometimes it's that the money feels tight. Sometimes people just never got around to adjusting the settings when they started a job. Sometimes they just didn't know. If you don't know what your employer match is, find out today. Literally today. Call HR, log into your benefits portal, do whatever it takes. The fix: contribute at minimum enough to capture every dollar of your employer match. That's the floor. After that, work toward maxing out your Roth IRA. The 2026 contribution limit is $7,000 if you're under 50. After that, go back and increase your 401k contributions further. This is the closest thing to a guaranteed return that exists in personal finance. Not using it is one of the most expensive non-decisions you can make. The last mistake is the one that makes all the others possible. And it's this. Most Americans in their 30s have no written financial plan. No clear number for what retirement looks like. No defined savings rate. No timeline. No goals that are specific enough to actually achieve. And I get it. Planning feels abstract when life is busy. When there's a mortgage and kids and a career and 1,000 things demanding your attention every single day. But here's what I've seen over and over. People without a financial plan don't drift toward wealth. They drift toward more spending, more debt, more financial anxiety. Because when you don't have a destination, every detour feels fine. Every upgrade, every impulse purchase, every just this once, it all slides through because there's no plan saying otherwise. A financial plan doesn't have to be complicated. It doesn't require a CFP or a spreadsheet with 400 rows. It needs to answer 5 questions. How much do I need to retire comfortably? Am I on track to get there? What is my savings rate today? And what should it be? What do I need to eliminate? And by when? What is my next financial milestone in the next 12 months? That's it. 5 questions. Write them down. Answer them honestly. Revisit them every 6 months. The people who build real wealth in their 30s aren't smarter than you. They're not luckier. They just made a plan, and they stuck to it when it was hard. The fix: block 1 hour this week. Sit down with your partner if you have one, and answer those 5 questions. That 1 hour might be the most valuable hour you spend all year. Let me be straight with you before I close this out. Your 30s are not too late. Not even close. I need you to hear that. The compound math that works against people who delay, it still works for you if you start now. Even today. But here's the thing about your 30s that's different from your 20s. You don't have the luxury of infinite time anymore. The decisions you make in the next 5 years will have an outsized impact on the next 40. So let me recap the 7 mistakes fast. 1. Lifestyle inflation. Upgrade your savings before you upgrade your lifestyle. 2. No emergency fund. Build your floor before you build your portfolio. 3. Delaying investing. Compound interest rewards action, not readiness. 4. Too much house. Don't let social pressure drive your biggest financial decision. Point 5. High interest debt. You can't outinvest 24% APR. 6. Leaving employer match on the table. That's free money. Take it. 7. No financial plan. Without a destination, every detour feels fine. If even one of these landed for you today, share this video with someone in their 30s who needs to hear it. You might literally change their financial future. And drop a comment below. Which of these mistakes are you working on right now? I read every single one. If you want to go deeper on any of these topics, I've got videos on how to build an emergency fund from scratch, how to choose index funds as a beginner, and how to pay off debt fast without feeling miserable. Links are in the description. And if you haven't subscribed yet, hit that button. This channel is built for people who are serious about building real financial freedom. I'll see you in the next one.